For getting started on our card design, refer to that card flat layout file, the PDF, and you can see the front, and this will be printed on the back side where the text will go. And inside there I've got the directions. So we're going to use an 8.5 by 11 document, inches, and the card will be 4.25 by 5.5. That fits nicely inside the envelope size. It gives a little bit of space in there, a little extra room to put it in. And then we're going to use a 1/2 point stroke with a color of 40K. K is black in the CMYK. So I'm just going to start a new document here. And it's an 8.5 by 11 document. And just call that, Halloween card, and then your name. And we're going to work in inches, and 8.5 by 11 will work fine. I think we're going to need about 3 artboards here. You probably end up getting rid of that third artboard. We're going to use sort of as scrap paper. Oops. Okay, so let's find the center of our page and sort of split these up just like you folded that piece of paper when we did our sketches. So we need to get our rulers out, Command R. And I think, we could sit here and measure this out, our 4.25. But I think the easiest thing to do is going to just be to use a rectangle. And I'll show you what I'm going to do here. You click once on the rectangle tool, then I can type in the coordinates that actually are the same as my document, 8.5 by 11. This is sort of the cheater's way to do it. Now I have a perfect coordinates there with that bounding box. It tells me exactly where the center point is. And if I line it up just right, and you may need to zoom in, you could be slightly off. Once you zoom in, you'll really start to notice if you are slightly off. And then your guides here, if you forget, under view, if you want to unlock those guides, if you accidentally put it in the wrong place, you have to go under view to unlock guides. And let's line it up as close as we can to the center. I'm going to click the outside of this, and then we're going to line it up at that 5.5 inch point in the middle. Now this is a split sheet for me. It's still not quite completely lined up here. I'm just going to move it over just a hair. There we go. All right, so once again, those rulers, don't forget, are Command R, and the guides are Command colon, semicolon. And then, if you happen to need to lock or unlock those guides, you can work there. Now that I have this on the bottom, I'm just going to lock this layer down. This is my sort of my bottom layer. In fact, let's do this other little part here real quick before we do that. I'm going to make 4 squares, and I'm going to hit Command colon to get rid of that ruler. As soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to just resize this box here so it fits in that size. Now I'm going to get rid of mine, and you can see I need to change that to, I'm going to use my properties panel. We can use a stroke too. I'm going to give it just a 1/2 point. It is already gray. It is 100% black. For stroke, I'm going to bring it down to 40. You can even bring it down to 35. If you bring it too light, like 15, you might not be able to see it on every printer. It just depends. We give it no color in the center. And I'm just going to hold down Option plus Shift and align that. Then select both of these, hold down Option plus Shift to copy. Shift copies it straight across just perfectly. Once those are all lined up, I'm going to lock down that layer as my template. And you know what I'm going to do? Now let's place that image. I've made several layers here. I've made an art layer for the artwork. I've made another layer underneath that for color. You can also grab those, move those around. You just have to grab them in the right place. So I want art on top, color in between, and then that template layer we made on the bottom that's locked down. I'm going to place, and I've drawn this image here, already scanned it in. I think it's called Howl. And you can stretch to place that image, but you cannot stretch it or place it after you've placed it. You have to hold down Shift if you want to resize this, as this bounding box pulling those corners will stretch it, squish it, distort it. So once I have it placed, I select it. I've got to make sure it's on the right layer. I want it on my art layer. I'm going to move it up there to my art layer. Now I'm going to go up here to Object, Image Trace. I'm going to go to Make. My window will change somewhat. I've got this image trace here, and there's this little pane I can click. And this gives me some options, and I can click Advanced. And go ahead if you want to. Mine's a pretty decent scan, but if you need to bump up that threshold, paths, corners, noise, you can turn the preview on and on to see what that looks like. And then there's another thing you can do is click Ignore White. And I will show you what happens. In a minute I'll do a different way when you don't click Ignore White, but I'm going to go ahead and do this one where I click Ignore White. And then once I'm all done with that, I go up here to the top and I'm going to click Expand. And now, let me go ahead and use my brush. I'm going to paint underneath it. I'm on the color layer right there. And I'm just going to pick a brush. Now remember, to make the brush larger or smaller, you can use those bracket keys. I don't want a stroke. I'm going to have no stroke. And for fill, I'm just going to pick something bright that you can see right now. And if you have trouble with that color not showing up because you just expanded that black and white image. So the other option for doing an image trace is first you select it, your image, then you go to Object, Image Trace, and I can do Make and Expand, but it's going to leave the white areas that I didn't unclick when I do it the other way. So now, as you can see, it is quickly make and expanded it. But when I go down to color this time, and I'm going to pick a color from here with my brush. And of course, this is a very thin stroke. I'm going to select that. And let me see if I have my strokes out. You go to Properties as well to change the stroke. Make it really nice and fat. Well, you couldn't see it because there's white in the way, right? So I can see it poking out around the corners. On my layers, it's in the middle. So let's select the white, and I'll show you a quick way to do that. I'm going to select just one area that is white, and I know it's white when I select it there. And then I'm going to go to Select, Same Fill Color. And everywhere that has the same fill color, which is that white, will be selected. I'm going to hit Delete, and that deletes all of that. Now you can see that. So if you happen to have expanded it and you didn't get rid of the white in that presets for the Make and Expand, you can still delete it later. Okay, so feel free to paint however you want to. If we're just going, in the outside of this as well, this black stroke can change. I'm just going to make it just sort of a crazy color so you can see it. Let me change it right here. Because it's been expanded, it acts a little odd. So I'm just going to change it there at the top. And then you can see you can change that as well. So design that however you like. And then in the inside, with our T-tool, this is where I'll type my message. And I have a custom message on the inside. And then to center that, remember, is our paragraph. So Command T, or you go under Window, type, and then you can pull up the character and paragraph there. And in the paragraph is where you pick centered. There's the character. Feel free to change that. Please go to some, interesting sites, download some fonts, double click them to install, and play around with, something that's appropriate for your message. Space it, size it as you like. You can do a custom treatment as well. It seems like I did a couple of custom treatments. Let's see what folder this is in. I'm going to follow the breadcrumbs here. I have these Boo Doodles. I'm hitting spacebar to see this come up. Oh, that's a sketch. Here, I think this is one. Hey, Boo. And Boo. You can also place ones that, if you inked one or had something fun there that you wanted to do by hand for typography, that's fine too, just like the scanned image. I would place it, and then we want to make it vector, and we want to make sure it's on the right layer so it's all nice and neat. I've got it in the art layer, and then I'm going to go to Object, Image Trace, and then I'm going to click. I can do Make and Expand, but I have to get rid of that white area, or Make, and then once I click this window here with the Advanced, remember, you can then ignore white, and then I click Expand. So once again, that's how you do it again. So now it should have gotten, it may not get rid of the entire box. Let's see if it did. Let's use that direct selection tool. There we go. And it's on the right layer. Then you may change the color of that. Make sure you have the right area selected as well. All right, so I will let you have at this, have a lot of fun with this card. And it looks like I deleted maybe too many white areas. They were white is what the problem was. So I'm gonna have to go in here and delete out those little funky areas. And so this is a custom, you know, drawing, so sometimes that happens. There we go. Remember, you have Command Y. You can use that as well to see all your vectors. And when you're all done, you have that extra sheet on the end, that extra page that maybe you're practicing with some styles or some brush strokes. One way you can get rid of that is in your artboards. If you just double click on the one, you can double click and it will go to that artboard. So I'm gonna go to the third one. I'm gonna hit the trash can there. I don't need it. Double clicks on the ones you want to see. And then I'll save that as Halloween card, your name in my Halloween card folder, you know, and you can keep replacing it as long as you're working in it. You will want to keep your typefaces with you. So if you've downloaded some, make sure, you know, you keep them either on your computer or your flash drive or in that folder so you can find them. And then you can save as a PDF. That will hold the typefaces there. You can print without having to load typefaces on another computer. So if you go to the lab and you don't want to install your typefaces, you can print from a PDF. So that's another way that you can do that. And I would save a copy as a PDF. And then the other thing you can do is, let's say I don't know where I got this typeface. I do know where I got it, but let's say I don't, you know for sure. And so the other thing I can do is package, and it will package up all my images and everything. So that is File, Package. And then I'm just going to make sure that it's in the right folder. So I'm going to click up here on the folder, make sure it's saving to the correct folder. Package. Package created successfully. Let's show it. Show package. It's going to take me to it, and there it's inside that folder, and it has the fonts. It's pulled them. I didn't pick anything particular, but it will pull that and any other images, and they'll give you a little text report too, which is not terribly important, but that's how you do it.